you will vicariously be able to taste it all. So if you're ready, I'm ready to go. I have a beautiful bowl of pears. These pears are assorted. There's not just one kind because I like to change things up. Everybody says, oh my gosh, there's just one variety of pear. Not so. These pears are a red delicious pear, and I have a Bosc pear here, and I'm going to cut these up, which I will demonstrate to you, and then I'm going to put them in my pie pan and make a topping for them, which will then be baked in the oven at 350 degrees. So I will begin. When I have a lot of fruit to cut up, or for that matter, any kind of vegetables to cut up, I do not waste any time. I don't core it, and then I don't peel it. You know, all of your vitamins are really in your skin, and they're beautiful, and they add a lot of extra to your dish. So these have been washed really well. Matter of fact, I've never washed fruit so much, or vegetables in my entire life. I mean, they're talking to me and they're telling me, why are you washing me so much? But it's worth it because it's going to be really delicious. So I'm going to actually hold the stem, and I'm going to cut the side, and then I'm going to rotate, do the same on the second side, the third side, and the last side. And then I'm going to toss the core away, and I want my fruit to be approximately the same size. So I'm going to slice it, and you know, an easy cut is to just slice them all at the same time, and then you can go the other direction. And by the way, if you have extra fruit that looks like it's sort of on its last leg, don't throw it away because it makes a delicious cobbler. And these are just in that same realm. I'm going to take the rest of my pears out and leave them on the counter because when I finish cutting all of these up, I'm going to then add some cinnamon and sugar. So I would like you to see these darling little measuring cups. They're actually rabbits in different sizes. And my granddaughter, Mia, gave these to me for Mother's Day last year. So these are a testament of her love that's in my kitchen as I make this for you right now. Now, you know, when we cut fruit and or vegetables, a lot of the times it oxidizes, which gets brown. So I'm going to put this in this bowl right now. It's a combination of cinnamon and sugar. And then when I toss this fruit, it will not oxidize. You can also add an acid like lemon juice or even orange juice, and that works out great. So I'm going to cut these up really quickly, and don't worry if they're not exactly the same size. I'm not measuring, and you shouldn't either. All right, now I'm going to go to this beautiful red pear, and again, I'm going from side to side, and then tossing this. And we're going to go very quickly so we can get this done. And I'm all about working in my kitchen and thinking to myself, I'm wondering if these are going to taste as good as the recipe, because sometimes I pick out a recipe and I think, looks good, but in fact, doesn't taste very good by the time I finish. And you know, to be very honest with you, my kids have told me, Mom, Passover food sometimes really is not the best, other than your matzo ball soup. So sometimes I try new dishes just for the heck of it, and this is one of them. Matter of fact, there are two that they've never had before. So I'm hoping that this is going to be something that they will enjoy. All right, so I'll cut these up really quickly and get these into the bowl. And measuring sometimes gets to be a hassle. So if you do everything ahead of time, or mise en place, then you'll know that everything is ready to go instead of running around the kitchen. Or unless you haven't had your exercise for the day, then that's a perfect time for you to have everything everywhere and then just run around the kitchen and then you get your steps in. But I got my steps in today, so everything is very well organized here. So these guys are looking great, and I'm going to toss this with the cinnamon and the sugar, and so you guys can see it. And then I'm going to get these. Now these again are really ripe. You know, we've had fruit that we purchased a couple weeks ago and we didn't get to eat it. So, you know, fruit doesn't wait for you. It just gets riper and riper. So we need to use this beautiful juicy fruit. And I know that it's going to be very appreciative to be able to be used and eaten. Matter of fact, I was watching Shark Tank the other night. I don't know if any of you watch Shark Tank, but there was a really cool lady who came on who lives on a farm, and she and her husband raised all kinds of fruits, from cantaloupe to strawberries. But the thing is, because things get ripe so quickly, they decided that they were not going to throw all of these beautiful fruits and vegetables away. So they decided that they were going to learn how to make ice cream. And they took all of these so-called very ripe fruits and made them into the most delicious ice cream and are now packaging them. So these are fruits and vegetables that could have been wasted, but were not. They came up with this very creative idea, and I love it. Matter of fact, we had chickens here once upon a time. Not now, but we used to have them. And they used to call me the lady who went to the back of the produce department and went into the dumpster and got all of the produce from my chickens. I couldn't believe what they were throwing away. I mean, I would have eaten it. My chickens loved it. They were very appreciative of it, and I didn't waste it. So I felt really good about that. All right, we are almost ready to go. And we are going to toss it. Now, your recipe says matzo meal and starch. To be honest with you, I'm not really a fan of matzo meal, especially in desserts. You can taste the matzah. Not that I don't like matzah. I love matzah. However, matzah meal sometimes just does not go with the delicacy of what you're making. So today, although you can use matzo meal if that's your choice, because, you know, we all like different things. But today I am taking the matzo meal out and I'm putting almond flour in. And I think that's going to be really terrific. So that's going to be part of our topping, along with cinnamon and sugar and nutmeg. Who doesn't like cinnamon and sugar? I mean, they go together. They're quite a marriage, don't you think? I think so. And in fact, cinnamon goes well on anything. Okay, so we're going to use the cinnamon and sugar and put it on top of this beautiful fruit compote and stick it in the oven. And we will have our collar. All right. I'm done. You know, you watch these cooking shows and you think to yourself, it looks so easy, right? Well, how many hands do those chefs have putting all the food out, organizing all the pots and the pans? And I was thinking about that today because I love to watch Chopped. Matter of fact, my Hamara, I think it was last year, came for dinner, and Roger and I decided we were going to do a Chopped party. And so my Hamara were all given something to make. They each brought an ingredient, but they had to use that ingredient along with what else we gave them. And they had a challenge. And I told them they couldn't cheat. Oh, hi, Laurie. Okay, look at that. Boy, that fits in here just perfectly. Okay.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Laurie.
Yes, I can attest that we survived that chop session at your house. It was very intimidating, but fortunately, I was teammates with people who actually know how to cook. So I can talk about it now, fondly.
Okay, on to the topping. So look at this, is not oxidized. I'm taking my almond flour, putting it in the bowl. Some of my brown sugar, again, my little wonderful rabbit here. Mia's on the phone?
No, she's there.
Oh, she did? And some white sugar. You're saying, oh my gosh, are you like giving us a sugar high? And why am I combining both white sugar and brown sugar? Well, the brown sugar gives it a molasses taste, and the white sugar gives it a crunch. So I'm using both. Okay, so I'm using cinnamon and nutmeg and 4 tablespoons of butter. And at last, I'm going to put in some crunchy almonds that I have ground up. Okay, there's my butter. So you know what? Thank God we have hands. And I promise you I've washed them and washed them and washed them. So I can stick my fingers in here because I know that that's the best way to do this. You want to crumble. You do not want this just to be one texture, because texture is what is going to make this crumble on top go with your wonderful pears. Oh my gosh, and you're going to say to me, but I don't have any pears in the house, but I really want to make this. Do you have apples? Use your apples. What about strawberries? What about blueberries? Whatever you have. That's the best part of this. Matter of fact, my daughter Lindsay, she's sort of the cobbler queen in our house. She makes this with whatever fruit we have. So if you guys have questions, I would love to answer them as I do this, because I'm almost ready to stick this baby in the oven.
Mia has a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have a question? Come over here. You were asking me a bunch of questions. Ask her a question.
Hi. I'm Mia. This is my granddaughter and my son Matthew.
Go ahead. Ask her a question. Ask her. You have 10 seconds. Go.
Where do you get your fruit from?
Where do I get my fruit from? Well, I typically go to a farmer's market and I pick it out myself. However, this time we sort of got it where we could get it. Whole Foods and Draeger's this time. Yeah. Oh, does this look beautiful or what? All right. So now I'm going to take this crumble and I'm just going to dump it on top. Not fancy at all. Just going to smooth it out. And all you want to do is just cover this up. And then it's going to go into the 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes. And voila, it will be ready.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So did you use potato starch? I might have missed it.
So I actually didn't. I actually said that I changed this recipe up a little different, because I really didn't want to use matzo meal with potato starch. I really wanted it to have a more nutty flavor.
So what did you use for the potato starch?
I'm sorry.
So what did you use for the potato starch instead?
I didn't.
You just eliminated it. Okay. Thank
I
you.
just eliminated it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to get this off my hands and make sure all of my pears are covered.
But Sandy, Sharon substituted almond flour for
Almond
the
flour.
potato starch and the matzo meal.
Correct.
And I'm going to assume, Sharon, that the 4 tablespoons of butter was the substitution for the 1/4 cup of vegetable oil. Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And then you added crushed almonds
I
as
did.
well into your topping?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Into the oven.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. My oven has been preheated, and I'm going to set the timer for 45 minutes. Excuse my back. And on we go. Okay. So are there any more questions before we move on to the second dish? No? Okay. So I'm going to move this to my space over here. And then I'm going to get the second mise en place. So we are ready to go. So Lori, you're going to actually notice some things that you gave me in my kitchen as well. I bet you can find them on this tray. Oops.
So Sharon, it's Rachel. While you're getting that set, I just wanted to remind people a couple ways that they can ask questions. There is a button for people to raise your hand. And then, so what you have been doing, and you've been doing a great job at it, you can unmute yourself and just ask. But also there's a button in the list of participants at the bottom. It either looks like a palm or there's a thing that says raise hand. So if you do that, your name pops to the top of the list, and then I can unmute you and let Sharon know that you want to ask a question. So either way is fine.
Okay, so we are on to number 2, and this is my tahini banana bread. So tahini is basically it really looks like peanut butter. It's sesame seeds, very, very finely ground. So it does have an oil that stays at the top. So if you didn't know it was tahini and you didn't look at the jar label, you'd think it was peanut butter or almond butter, and it's delicious. It can be used in so many ways, but in order to use it, you got to stir it up. So I'm going to use my teaspoon, and you see as I stir it that it gets thicker. And go all the way down to the bottom, because you want the whole jar and all of the ingredients, not just part of them. Okay? So I've never made this before. This is going to be a first for all of us, but it is a cinch. One of my very, very, very favorite cooking pots in the kitchen is this iron pan. My husband actually uses these. He's got another part to this to make bread, but I make Dutch babies in here. We make omelets, frittatas. It's so great. It's a great tool to have. And so I'm going to use this to do my banana tahini bread and spray it, and then we'll go from there.
Sharon, I believe Joyce Reynolds-Sinclair has a question.
Oh, hi, Joyce.
Yeah. Hi, Sharon. I'm just curious, if you don't have tahini, if you wanted to use almond butter, is it just that it's a nuttier flavor? Is it,
Yeah.
what's the?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, but the consistency and everything would be the same, right?
Very much exactly the same. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I still have some of the last menu on my fingers here, so let me get it off. Okay. All right. So, many of you, I'm sure, have gone to the market and you've bought more bananas than you need, which we have. So there's lots of things that you can do with bananas when you're super, super, super ripe. I make banana bread, which is typical, smoothies, and sometimes if I have so many bananas, I stick them in the freezer and then take them out, and even making a very simple banana ice cream with a simple syrup works great as well. But today, we are going to use these beautiful bananas. And a very easy thing to do with bananas is you literally cut the top and then score it. And you can peel it really easily.
Sharon,
And for this dish, you
Susan
really-
has a question for you.
Yes.
Hi, Sharon. This is wonderful.
Oh, Susie.
Susie.
Could you substitute, if you wanted to, almost any nut butter? It would just then have more of the flavor of that, such as
Yes.
butter, which is classic with bananas.
Yes. And we know that bananas and peanut butter is a great snack. We probably gave it to all of our kids once upon a time, right?
Yep.
Right?
Would you use the same amount?
Excuse me?
Would you use the same amount of any of the nut?
Yeah. Same texture. Yep. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Second banana. I'm all about simplicity. Everybody thinks cooking is so hard. It's not. It's not. It's all about having everything ready to go and put it in your bowl and go for it. I have a secret bucket down here. You can't see it. It's not just going on the floor, everybody. Okay, so my bananas are in here. As a matter of fact, my grandchildren, the youngest of them, like to smash these bananas by putting them in a plastic bag and then zipping that bag up, and we put it on the floor and they do a little dance, and it's wonderful, and the bananas are completely smashed. It's perfect. they're not here to do that, so we're just going to do it with this whisk. Okay. Okay. They're pretty smashed. We like a little texture. I love texture. This guy doesn't want to come out, but he's gonna. Okay. So this is almond flour again, which we're going to put in here. Very easy peasy. We are going to put in 3 eggs. You see, I'm not fancy. I'm just putting them in. I don't have to beat them. I don't have to put them in separately. It's just a one-shot recipe, okay? 3 tablespoons of honey. So Lori Price gave me these great measuring cups that I use a lot when I teach with kids, because you can really see, this is 3 tablespoons of honey. You can really see the measurement quite nicely. So there's my honey. And this is a teaspoon of vanilla, teeny tiny. And let's see, and some salt. And finally, the tahini, and I need 1/2 of a cup. So again, I'm gonna mix it up. It sinks to the bottom very quickly because it's really thick. So let's just pour it in here. There you go. In it goes. And okay, that's how easy is that, right? And then you just mixed it up together. So you see, I love to use different kinds of flours. We bake bread over here, and so our cabinet has a lot of different kinds of flours that we experiment with. It's going up, it's mixing quite nicely. Oh, it smells divine. I can't wait to taste this. And when I bake bread, or I bake muffins, or I bake a cake, I do not mix it to death because it doesn't make it as light. You actually break down all of the gluten if you mix it so much. So you're just going to mix it to incorporate everything. And then once you've incorporated everything, then you're just going to bake it. All right. Can everybody see what this looks like? Very easy. Make sure that that almond flour is in there. Okay. All right. Just put it on here. I'm going to move this away so you can see what I'm doing. I've got my iron pan here, and sometimes when I make like Dutch babies, I actually put my iron pan in to the oven to heat it so it's super, super, super hot. And then my Dutch baby really rises, but I didn't do this with this. I'm gonna just spray this so it doesn't stick. Okay. And I'm gonna get a spatula from my baking drawer and pour this in, and we're good to go. All right. This is gonna be yummy.
This is Sandy again. I was wondering, did you put the baking powder in?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for keeping me on my toes. I love it. Appreciate that. Okay. Okay. So, you know, everyone, that we eat with our eyes. I mean, I always tell, when I cook with kids, I always say, you can make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich into the shape of a heart, and it will be the most delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwich you've ever had because it's very visually appealing. Well, I feel the same about this dish as well. I'm actually going to take another banana. And I'm going to cut it so that it will be beautiful on the top here. Okay. Incidentally, I am cutting on my granite, which I can do. Makes it really easy. And I'm just going to cut this sort of at an angle. And then cut it again. And you can actually do spokes of a wheel if you want. You can make it more into coins. It's your choice. This is your creative endeavor, okay? And I'm just going to sort of play with this. And then this one as well. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of put this on here to make it look so beautiful. And again, you don't have to be precise. Precise is not what we want. This is creativity in the making. I don't know. Go there, and there. Voila. Okay, so this recipe actually takes probably 25 to 30 minutes. And I did this second because guess what? There's 30 more minutes left in the oven, so I can bake these together. I'm all about using our electricity and our gas respectfully. So I'm going to walk it over and open my oven. Oh, that smells yummy. Can you imagine the smells that are, aromas that are going on over here? The cobblers on the top.
Open again.
Oh, did you not see?
Go ahead.
Sneak peek. Sneak peek. Okay. So you're saying, my gosh, can I actually bake two things in my oven at one time? And the answer is absolutely. I'm being practical. I'm not going to heat my two ovens. It's just a smart thing to do. I'm going to give you this, Roger. Can I have a sponge, please? Great, thank you. Okay, so I'm all about cleaning up as I go because it's very overwhelming for me, and everybody functions differently. So I understand that and I respect that. But for me, when I'm making something, I make sure that I finish that, put it away so I don't see it, and then start another dish. That way I have a new palette. It's sort of like a painter. You know, a painter has a palette that is totally empty, and they can project whatever artistic feeling they have. The same with this counter. This is my palette. So this is going to be done. And I'm going to give, I got this right there. Okay, so the last dish actually takes the longest, and this is our savory dish. And I've gone ahead and done a lot of extra prep for you because it takes a while to slice the vegetables, then to roast them when they have been brushed with olive oil and garlic. And I'm going to do all of that demonstrating for you and let you see the process. So, I've actually taken part A and part B in separate spaces so that I know that I'm going to make sure that you understand what I am doing and that you're not confused. I'm going to put my olive oil over here because this is what I'm going to use along with my herbs to put on my eggplant and my zucchini. I don't know what you have in your kitchen, and the last thing I want to do is to make you go out or order online at Williams-Sonoma or Sur La Table some kind of a slicer, because that's what I did. I don't want you to do that. I want you to be able to use what you have in your kitchen. I have a husband who is a Mr. Gadget. He's Mr. Fix-It, but he's also Mr. Gadget. And sometimes when I don't even need a gadget, I have a gadget. So I'm using one of his gadgets to demonstrate what I'm doing. So we need to take our zucchini, which has been washed, and our eggplant, which has been washed, and slice it 1/4 inch thick, and we're going to roast it. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that, both with my gadget and then without the gadget. So once I have sliced both of these vegetables, I am then going to place them on a parchment cookie sheet, and then I'm going to brush them with olive oil and herbs, and they're going to roast for about 30 minutes. And then 5 minutes after the 30, we will then put some fresh garlic on them. But I'm going to show you that this does take a while, and so you need to be patient and start it a little early. But the best part of this whole thing is you can do this a day before, or you can even do it a week before and stick it in your freezer and then pull it out and it'll be ready to go. So that's very, very much of a positive. So let's do the zucchini first. And I will demonstrate 2 different ways to use it. So the first way is our conventional knife, okay? I've washed it 4 times and taken the top and the bottom off. And you can then take your knife, and you know how to hold a knife. It's very important that it's between your thumb and your pointer so that you can control it. And it's really important to tuck those fingers under because you love your fingers and you need them, okay? You can then take your knife and you can start cutting your slices, okay? And if they're not exact, it's okay. Do not have a measuring tape. Measuring tapes really don't work in the kitchen. You're not sewing, you're cooking, right? So I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna show you that this definitely works. I mean, you don't have to do 12 of these, so that's a good thing, okay? So this is one way of doing it. Beautiful. I'm gonna place these on here just like this. And you sort of want them to be the same thickness because when they roast in the oven at 375, you want them all to roast and come out the same way. If some are thinner, they're gonna cook more quickly, okay? So now I'm gonna show you with, this is like, it's called sort of like a mandolin. And I'm gonna take my zucchini and I'm just gonna go, hello? But be very careful of your fingers because yes, it cuts this, but it also can cut your fingers. And again, you love your fingers. All right. So I'm gonna stop. Voila. And again, I'm gonna place these on this cookie sheet. I mean, the positive thing about this is that you know that they're all very much the same size. So you're not having to worry about whether one is too thick or too thin when you cut it by hand. So I'm just gonna kind of move these guys up here. Now I'm using a tiny baking pan just to demonstrate. When I actually did these, and I've already done them, I just want you to know, I used 4 pans because you have to give them space in order for them to caramelize, for the sugars to come out, and for them to really brown. Okay, so here's my zucchini. Actually, I can sort of move this up here. Okay, so now we're going to put this mandolin away again. And here's our beautiful eggplant. I mean, this is my favorite vegetable. It's so wonderful, and it takes on flavors from everywhere. So it's very bland until you add ingredients and wonderful savory. Some people even eat it in sweet dishes as well. So I'm going to cut off the top. And I found today, which is really interesting, that this particular eggplant oxidized very quickly, and from something that I've never done before. Typically, they don't. Typically, it takes a while for the air to hit them and for them to turn brown. But today, I don't know what's in the, well, I don't know, but it did oxidize more quickly. So again, I'm going to demonstrate. I took off the top and the bottom, and you want a flat bottom when you cut it. And again, you're going to use, depending on whether you're right or left-handed, you're going to use it between your thumb and your pointer. And again, I'm going to go all the way down to get my slices. Okay. Now you see that this pan is teeny weeny, so it's not going to hold all. I'm not going to do all of them for you. But now I'm going to go back to my mandolin and hold it so the flat part is here, and then I'm going to start again. Okay. So you see, voila. From here. Okay. I'll put this over here. Out of the way. That's what I'm doing. Okay. So your next step is to paint these literally with olive oil. So I'm going to take some of my olive oil and put it in here. Because if I were just to pour it, it would haphazardly go everywhere. And we really want to use the olive oil to maximize it on my vegetables. And this is a great paintbrush for the kitchen. I love it because it's rubber and very flexible, and I can take it apart and wash it, and it really remains sterile. So this is my favorite. I mean, I have several. I have some that have bristle brushes, and they don't work as well. So I'm just going to paint these. And make sure you really paint them so that they all have absorbed. And olive oil absorbs very quickly. So if you say to me, what happens if, you know what, it calls for oregano, but you know what, I don't like oregano. Don't use oregano. Use thyme or basil. You don't have to use exactly what it calls for. Your palates are what you are making this for. You are the one who are pleasing yourself and others as well. Okay, looks like we're on.
Sharon, your screen has frozen, but hopefully it'll come back together. Well, Everybody, let's give them a minute for the Wi-Fi to reconnect.
This is Lori Price, and I'm hungry. I just thought I'd share that.
Anybody got a good joke while we're waiting?
No.
Hey, back?
Rachel?
Yes.
Sorry, this is Judy. I've got my video off. I can
Oh, hi,
turn
Judy.
it back on. Hi.
Everybody can see you.
I'm wondering, while we're waiting, maybe you can tell us, I see when you stop your video, we see a picture of you. If I upload a picture to my profile, will that happen automatically when I turn off my video?
So hang on, I have Roger on the phone. I think
Oh,
I
sure.
probably want to
Yeah,
deal
take
with
care
that
of
one
that
first. Hold on just a second. Thanks everybody for your patience. I think they're about to come back on. Roger, I'm unmuting you. You should be
Almost.
Uh,
good.
You seeing us?
Yes.
Oh,
Hi, okay. I'll just keep going.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
all right. I don't know what happened, but it came back.
Hi, everybody. Okay. So are there any questions? I just threw a lot of stuff at you. Does anybody have a question? No?
Would somebody answer? Are you hearing us?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. We told a few jokes while you guys were
Oh, good.
exposed.
Sharon, it's Joyce Reynolds. If you wanted to add chicken or something to this, you could do that, couldn't you?
So, yes.
You didn't want
Answer
to
your
make
question.
if you wanted protein in it.
So your protein is actually in the ricotta and the goat cheese
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
and the Parmigiana. So that's definitely protein, but go ahead and add some chicken. I'm sure it would be delicious.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So we have these. Let's pretend that I've roasted them for 25 minutes. And when they came out, they looked like this. The 5 minutes between that, from 25 to 30 minutes, at the very end, I actually crushed a garlic and then put it on to give it actual more flavor. So when it came out, it would have both the oregano and the garlic flavor. So the question is, why didn't I put the garlic in and let it roast for 25 minutes? Who's got an answer? I'm not going to tell you. Hello?
Sharon, you could just call on someone.
All right.
I think Susie has an answer.
It might get bitter.
You got it, girl. Yep. Always add garlic at the very last. And when you've read recipes, I'm sure, many times, and it says, you know, saute your mirepoix, your onions and your carrots and your celery, and add your garlic for a minute before you add your other ingredients. So that's right, Susie. So that's exactly why we do it that way. Okay, so I've done my garlic, and I will pretend here I've crushed it. Incidentally, if you take your garlic, it's supposed to be in a dry spot, so we all know that. But sometimes I use it so much that I don't want to stick it back in my pantry when it's open. So I put it in my refrigerator in my produce drawer, and it is so much easier to peel. So it's just a little note in case anybody wanted something extra trivia. I thought I would share that. This one is actually growing a little tail already. Okay. So then I'm just going to...
Sharon, it looked like Lori Flaxman, I think, unmuted herself. Did you want to say something?
Oh.
Hi, Lori.
Hi. I was just answering the garlic question. I thought maybe it would burn.
You're right. Absolutely. Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to crush my garlic and just take it and just put it on my veggies. Okay. And then for 5 minutes it's in and it's out and we're good to go. Okay, this is done. I'm going to put this over here because we're not going to use this anymore. And I'm going to take all of this away and I'm going to get my second tray that has all my other ingredients. There we go. Excuse me, Joyce. Thank you. All right. So I'm sure you saw that this recipe is one of my favorite chef's recipes, Ina Garten. She can do no wrong. I mean, I trust whatever recipe she has, I make it and I trust it. My one thing with her is sometimes she wants so much salt in there that it can be a little bit overpowering. So you have to be kind of careful with that aspect. But other than that, it's just a breeze. She's really, I'm very confident with whatever she says to do. Okay, so let's look at these ingredients that I have on my tray here. I have tomato sauce, which has basil in it, fresh tomatoes, and oregano, thyme, garlic, onions. I have ricotta cheese, which is very mild. I mean, it doesn't have any flavor at all, but it has a lot of texture. It's very creamy. And I have cheddar cheese, goat cheese as well. So your recipe actually says to use herbed goat cheese. However, if you can't find herbed and you use goat cheese all the time, what are you going to do? You're going to add your own herbs. And sometimes I don't like the herbs that are in the herbed goat cheese, so I add my own. And that's what I'm going to do today. So along with these two cheeses, you have a mozzarella. And I'm sure you guys have been to Costco or to your market, and mozzarella comes in many different forms. You can get it in bulk and then you can shred it yourself, or it comes shredded, or it comes sliced. And this happens to be pre-sliced mozzarella. Easy peasy. Don't even have to worry about it. So this is what we're going to use as well. This is Parmesan Reggiano, a couple of eggs to keep our mixture together. Basil. So Lindsay went to the market for Roger and I gave her a list, and she was at Drager's bright and early on Saturday morning. And I said, please get me some basil, because I use basil a lot. And my basil outside in my veggie garden is not really cooperating. I keep talking to it every day and saying, please grow, but it's not. So she got basil. However, when I put it in the glass of water, which I normally do, and not put it in the refrigerator, it normally lasts a long time. It like melted. So I said, okay, well, I'm not going to throw it away. I still have to use it. What am I going to do? So I figured, okay, I chopped it, I washed it, and I chopped it up, and then I put it in the freezer, and it worked out great. So you can do that. Matter of fact, you can do that with all of your herbs. Even little egg containers or ice containers, put them in the freezer, and then just pop one or two out when you need it. Okay, so our eggs. So these are Passover noodles. They're egg noodles. Ina's recipe calls for lasagna noodles. And when it's not Passover, you make this dish with her lasagna noodles. And by the way, her recipe says soak those lasagna noodles to make them so that they are flexible. I, for years, do not do any of my noodles post or pre. I use them raw. And because of all the sauces, they cook and they're fine. So it's one step you do not need to do. It's an extra step. So I think we are good. I'm going to get my bowl over here. I'm going to check on our oven and see what's going on in here. Oh, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Got about 9 more minutes. Okay, so I actually made this mixture before, and I wanted to show it to you. And I'm going to then add to it so I can demonstrate for you. So this is actually going to go as we layer this. So in here, thank you, there's 2 eggs. And again, you can just throw it in. I mean, you don't have to be fancy schmancy at all. This is going to be for you. And my Parmesan Reggiano cheese and some ricotta. And whenever I do anything, I always have my eggs at room temperature. It makes them easier to come out of the shell. When you're baking, it makes things rise more, and it's just something that I always do. And I even with my butter as well, it's always at room temperature. Okay, so you have 16 ounces of ricotta, 8 ounces of your goat cheese that you have used with herbs, which I'm just going to stick in there. Let me just grab another spoon. And I'm just sort of going to eye it. I'm not even going to put it in a measuring cup. So this.
Well, everybody, the suspense is building. We're going to give them another minute to try to reconnect. Sorry about this. I'm going to unmute everybody so we can chat while we're waiting for them to figure things out. Hi, Laurie.
Hi.
All right, who's got a good recipe they're going to try for Passover this year?
I'm
they're
not sure.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Everybody back?
We think you're back.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm going to mute everyone.
What did you need?
Go ahead.
Susie,
Okay.
did you put all the ingredients in the bowl?
Nod your head.
Susie, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Great. Okay. So you just mix them all up. Very easy. But you see, because the eggs were room temperature and the cheeses were room temperature, it made it very easy to mix them all. Okay. So now we're going to start layering. We're going to take our pan And depending, if you want, you don't have to make a whole recipe. You can make a part of a recipe. And because I have already made you one, I'm going to use a smaller pan, but I want you to see how this is going to work, okay? Stick these in the sink so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you start out with your sauce, then you put a layer of it on the bottom. Just shake it around. You don't even have to grease the pan. Okay? And then you come over and you get your vegetables. Now for me, I like to change up the layers. So one layer will be eggplant and another layer will be zucchini, depending. So I'm going to start with my eggplant and I'm going to layer it on. You see these are really thin and that's why you want them all to be approximately the same size and thickness. So many good vitamins in here. Oh, we're almost done with this first layer. Get all this eggplant going on here. And if you like more eggplant or you like more zucchini, by all means, go for it. There's no rule that says you just have to have just a very slight layer. Okay, so this is done. Let me just rinse my hands really quickly. Okay, so my recipe says, and you should probably refer to it as well, that once you have your pasta sauce on the bottom, and then your vegetables on top of that, then you're going to put your noodles on here. So I've got some in a bowl, and again, they're crunchy. I did not put them in water at all. And again, you don't have to use a lot. You can just use a little. It's your choice. Okay, looks like it's probably enough. Okay, so sauce, vegetables, pasta, and then you put a third of your mozzarella. So I'm just going to take it and layer it. So they're pretty thick, so I'm not going to use, I'm going to kind of space these guys out. Okay, matter of fact, I think I'm just going to use 4. And then you use this mixture, this ricotta mixture, and put this on as well. And you can just use the back of your spoon to smooth it out. So make sure that, yeah. Well, I'm going to take a break because our dessert is ready. Let's come on over. I'm just going to move the camera. I'm going to turn my timer off. I'm going to check this guy's out and see. Wow. Beautiful. And you know this is done when it's nice and brown on top. So here we go. There's your cobbler. Delish, delish, delish. Put that in the sink here. And then we're going to get out our tahini. And, see if it's brown enough. Oh my gosh. That looks magnificent. I'm going to turn this off because we don't need it anymore. So that's a perfect size. I'm glad I chose the smaller one. So, because this looks pretty, but it's not that pretty, I am going to take some additional tahini and put it on the top of that. So I'm going to go over here. And I'm just going to kind of dribble some, sort of like a caramel in a way. Matter of fact, I found a recipe today for tahini caramel that looks divine. Let's take this over. Mix this up. And a lot of times, because of this consistency, I just sort of take my spatula, and you can just kind of twirl it if you want, or just shake it if you want. Just is going to give it one more layer of flavor when you cut into this. And incidentally, this recipe called for honey or like a date syrup as well. So if you have that or you've used that before, please go for it. Okay. So that actually looks better to me. It has more texture, and I like the shininess of this. Okay, so let's put that back over here. And then it also says to use a black sesame seed and or a white sesame seed or a combination. Well, I happen to have white, so I'm just going to kind of sprinkle these on. And again, this has changed completely. And you know, as I've said before, our fruits and vegetables oxidize. So this banana definitely oxidized in the heat. But I still think it looks pretty good. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to our lasagna. All right, so you saw the layer, and then you start again. Then you put your pasta sauce on. Because I'm just demonstrating this for you, we're not going to do a complete recipe here. We're just going to do one more layer so that you can see what I'm doing. Put that in sync, please. Thank you. And then I'm just going to spread it out. And you want to have enough liquid so that your noodles cook. Because you're not going to boil them. You want them to cook in this dish. Okay. Go back again. And put some more of the noodles on top. No, that was perfect. I just guesstimated that one. Okay. And, oh, you know what? I should have put this on first. Oh well. That's okay. Not a big deal. Just disperse it in between. Doesn't matter. It's all going to taste delicious. All these flavors. You see that I had a different size zucchini when I did it before you guys came on board. So that's why you're seeing the different sizes. But it's all good. The flavors are going to be phenomenal. Okay. All right. Thank you. I have a great sous chef here, by the way. He's doing an awesome job. All right. So then you put your mozzarella on. And again, I'm just going to put 4 and then you put this on top. And the recipe says to do it in thirds, so you do another layer again, which you will have enough of all of your ingredients to do. So when all this melts, it's going to look so different because I have made one for you, and you will definitely see what it looks like. So I'm going to take this away and put it over here. Get this out of your way. And I'm going to take these away as well so that you have a beautiful palette, as I mentioned before, to really see what you will be enjoying. I'm going to put that back. I can add those. And put these over here. Okay, I think we're good. And I'll put my recipe out of your way. And now, magically, your vegetable lasagna is ready to eat. And there you go. Are there any questions? I hate to eat in front of you. I let you taste it vicariously. So, over.
So Kathy has a question.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Kathy.
Thank you so much for including me. It was just so much fun to watch you. I thought I was watching Ina for the whole time. At any rate, I love you to bits. Thank you for having me. I have to sign off because I need to do my nightly story time with my grandson.
Okay, thanks, Kat.
All right. Bye. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, here's one, here's two. We will cut into these so that you can see what it looks like. Huh? That's okay. Move it over.
Judy, do you have a comment or question?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify on the noodles. So for Passover, instead of lasagna noodles, Sharon, you used like the Passover, kosher for Passover egg noodles?
Correct.
And you did not cook them, you just put them in dry?
Yeah, they were dry. Yep, easy, huh?
Yeah.
Because you know when you cook noodles, the starch makes everything stick together, and you have to kind of fight to get the lasagna away, right? So it's all good. Okay. No, that's okay. She's fine. So let me just stick this here. Okay, I'm going to cut into all three of these so you can see them. I've actually got my dishes ready to go. And I actually have a Passover spatula that my friend Lori gave me, I don't know, like a long time ago, and I love it. I use it every year. So here it is. So I'm actually going to use this for this, and I'm going to use another tool for this. So this is I'm sure you all have some Cutco pieces. My son was a Cutco salesman, and he equipped me with all of these wonderful knives in my kitchen, and I still use them. And everybody still uses Cutco, so that's a testimonial. He was quite a salesman then. He could have sold anything to anyone. He was an incredible salesman, and so I have this tool. So I'm going to actually cut this. And some people like the outside pieces, some people like the inside pieces, whatever you like. Incidentally, I use parchment in my kitchen a lot. I mean, it's easy cleanup, things spill, and you don't have to worry about it burning. Parchment is a great tool that we have. You want to take a bite? Did you get a fork, please? Oh, that came out perfectly. Incidentally, after you take this out of the oven, do not, like any lasagna, do not cut it immediately because it's going to go all over the place. Give it about 10, 15 minutes just to kind of rest, and then it will be just right to eat. And I'm taking a middle piece out. So the sous chef needs to taste. Okay, there you go.
How does it smell, Sharon? Oh, we've overwhelmed it again. All right, while they're enjoying their the fruits of their labor, I'll just start by saying thank you everybody for being here. Hopefully they'll get back on and we can close up together, but I know everybody joins me in appreciating the creativity and, you know, the graciousness of the Barkovs, both Sharon for her cooking and also Roger for his camera work and his sous chef and cleaning the dishes. They were amazing. So hopefully they'll get back on.
I did want to mention, Rachel.
Yes.
So Bethom switched to a new version of their website.
Yes.
But it's been a little while now, and one of the things that I noticed that is now on the new website is all of the Passover recipes that used to be on are back on again.
Oh.
So, there are some recipes that Joanne Donsky collected back in, I think, 2015 or maybe earlier. And then there's also some Passover recipes that we collected last year at Bethel Women. So if people need some extra Passover recipes, I suggest you look on the website. And I personally highly recommend the farfel granola.
Oh, yes, I love that stuff. I make it every year.
Really, really good. There's two different recipes and they're both excellent.
Great. So I think Sharon and Roger are back on now also.
Hello.
Awesome.
So I'm going to cut the cobbler. I spooned it and I put it into this bowl. You can serve it with Cool Whip for a Passover or something that works for your family, and it just adds a lot of extra creaminess. And you've got crunch, you've got tartness, you've got some sweetness, and there's a lot of texture in this cobbler. And then I'm going to cut the tahini banana bread, sort of like a pie shape, and it came out quite easily. Oh, that's, hey. Oops. Okay, and there is your tahini banana bread. You want to taste those, Rich?
Does anybody up there want to taste them?
So what's the verdict? It's all good?
But for the fact that they're social distancing, we would be right over.
If it's Passover, it is good for Passover.
Awesome.
Here, I'll take a bite. Is it?
Sure.
Okay, let me taste. It's really really, really good.
Okay. So Sharon, Roger, are you guys there? Oh, we lost him again.
Say something.
I think they're busy eating.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute everyone so that we can all say thanks and goodbye and good night to everybody.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Happy Passover. Hag Sameach.
Over.
Thank
Everyone.
you.
Hag Sameach.
Okay.
Great class.
It was fun. Thanks for trying it out with us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you for
Good
putting
night,
it together, Rachel. Thanks, Sharon,
My pleasure.
Roger.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.
Night, night.
Text them. And we need some light and more